demonstrate it with a couple of examples here and then talk about the theory which is listed on the left hand side as we go through it. So let's start with this first number here, 62,562.3418. Let's round this to 2 decimal places and then 3 significant figures. Okay, 2 decimal places. The way that I like to think about it is let's count the numbers after the decimal point. So 3 and then 4, and I want to round the number after the 4, or in other words, chop it off. So I'm going to chop it off after this line here. But before I just go ahead and start chopping, I need to consider what's the next number. Is it small or is it big? And in this case here, the number is small, it's a 1. And if I look at the theory on the left-hand side, if it's 4 or less, if it's small, let it rest, or the proper terminology is to round off. But what that means is I'm not going to change the 4 here, the number to the left-hand side of this blue line. So rounding, this becomes 62,562.3 and 4. I don't increase the 4 to 5, I just leave it as is, so I round off. Okay, so there is the first answer. I rounded the number to 2 decimal places. Let's now round it to 3 significant figures. Before I do, let's just recap on what a significant figure is, looking at the theory here on the left-hand side. Essentially, all numbers are significant figures apart from leading zeros or trailing zeros when there are no decimal places. Everything else is a significant figure, including zeros between non-zero numbers. So looking at my number here, all of these numbers are significant. I want to round it to 3 significant figures. So I'm going to be rounding after the third, which is this point here. I want to chop the number off. But I need to consider the number to the right. It is a 6. It is large, 5 or more. So therefore I'm going to round the 5 to the left of the blue line up 1. So this becomes 62,600. Now you may be wondering, well, where did these 2 zeros come from? I need to put the zeros there, otherwise my number would be 626. Now that clearly isn't a very good rounded number from the original 62,562. So rounding this number essentially gives an approximation. It's like how many spectators are at a big sporting event, 62,562. Well, I don't really care about the little numbers. I just really care about, well, roughly how big. And this is a good example of roughly how many people are there, 62,600. It wouldn't be a very good rounded option if I said there are 626 people at the stadium. Okay, that's the first number complete. Let's now try the second number, which is a much smaller number. This is 0.005826. Okay, let's firstly round this to 2 decimal places. Well, this is the first decimal place. This is the second. So I want to chop the number off here. I need to consider the number to the right of the blue line. That is 5. It is a big number. So therefore the 0, the number to the left of the blue line, will round up by 1. So this becomes 0.01. Let's now round this number to 3 significant figures, but just be careful, these zeros are leading zeros, so they are not significant figures. So this 5 is the first sig fig, the 8 is the second, the 2 is the third, so I want to round this number at this line here. Again, I consider the 6, it is a large number, so the 2 will round up. So this becomes 0.00583. So you can see there's a big difference between rounding to 2 decimal places and 3 significant figures. So you can see here why it's important to understand this skill, otherwise your answer might vary a lot from what the examiner is trying to look for.